Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning.
Welcome to Small Towns Unscripted. This is Nicole Turner. I'm Russ McClellan.
Once again.
Yeah.
Back in Sunset Marina. Nice of them to let us hang out.
I know. I
Beautiful
love
facility here. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. Well, man, thanks for sending the bio and history. I'm curious because we love this podcast for that reason. When you know of people and then you get to know them at a deeper level. It's been a lot of fun. We've done like 60 episodes or something, and I just love it. Especially people that I've known a long time, and then you're like, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
So,
And it really only takes like an hour, and then of just sitting down having an intentional conversation, and you're like, you just know so much more about a person.
Right.
It doesn't take that long.
And we always try to explain for people that tune in for the first time why we're doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to unite a community a little bit, and I think we feel that if you know a little bit more about someone, you find that you have more in common than you might have realized.
Sure.
And then as soon as you have a little more in common, you're like, oh, they're just people too, and they have a
Sure.
life, and they have ups and downs, and maybe there's a little less judgment.
Right. As Ted Lasso said, be curious and not judgmental.
Yeah. And in today's world of the keyboard warrior and instant gratification, instant decisions, I read a headline, and then therefore I know all about the article, and then I go hammer.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so maybe we can have more empathy and sympathy, and especially in a town that's changing.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of new faces, and we've been bringing people to this town for 36 years in real estate already. And the vast majority of people are amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
And they provide amazing opportunities and resources and time for all kinds of cool stuff. So we're trying to just bridge that gap a little bit, and it's also fun for the guests. So their family, we love it when the kids or grandkids go, I didn't know that about Grandpa, or I didn't know that they did that, and they never really had it in a form where they could then keep it.
Sure.
And then your great grandkids that you don't aren't
have
born
the
yet.
ability. Have the ability to know a little bit.
And the authentic story, and not the story maybe the media or maybe the politics or maybe tried to tell. And I wish you'd go back and do all kinds of characters, including my parents. It'd be fun.
Absolutely.
It'd be fun to do that. So
great.
anyway, I'm going to read just a little bit about you, and then based on your bio, and it's just cool. You grew up in Republic. You went to high school. You went right into the Marine Corps. Thank you. Then you became a lineman at the PUD from 1994 to 2024. Congrats.
Thank you.
And enjoying that retirement, I hope.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
You've been married for 44 years. I want to get into that because that's an accomplishment, to say the least,
Yeah.
in today's world. That's awesome. And you've been deeply involved in the community. You spend a lot of time with your 4 grandchildren. You love outdoors, training and hunting gun dogs. I can't wait. I have 2 German Shorthairs and a Golden Retriever, so I can't wait to talk about that. And then kind of get the story behind the uniform, the hard hat, and the coaching whistle, and the grandpa hat. So
thank
here we
you.
go.
Yeah.
So tell me what it was. First of all, let's start from the beginning. Where did your family originate, like your grandparents?
My mother's parents were up in that northwest Curlew Republic area. My mom graduated from Curlew High School, and so that's where they were from. My dad grew up in Ellensburg, Cle Elum area, and so I've got ties to that Cle Elum Roslyn area also.
Was there a migration with like your great grandparents? Did you know where they were originated?
I believe. Well, on my mother's side, they were natives up there. They belonged to the tribe in Republic Curlew area, and then the Medved McKean clan were. I think they came over from like Hungary or Czechoslovakia or someplace like that. Yeah,
it's like a melting pot.
Absolutely.
I'm always curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did we start this program 250 years ago?
Right. Yep.
So what was it like in Republic at the time? What year did you graduate high school?
82.
Yeah. What was it like growing up as a kid in Republic?
There was a lot of hunting and fishing and stuff. Republic was pretty far out of the way. It was 3.5 hours over Sherman Pass to get to Spokane. When you were a kid in high school, it was all about the sports. So it was like, I played all 3 sports: football, basketball, and baseball, and then in the summertime, worked in the woods.
Yeah.
So
was there? You remember? I always talk about this because I'm out of touch with the kids now, and so it's probably the same. But do you remember when all those small towns were pretty financially stable, whether it be logging or forestry of some kind, or farming, wheat farming, apple farming? There was a lot of smaller farmers, and those towns were fueled with a strong base, and therefore those rivalries in sports.
Oh, it was, yeah. When I started coaching, my kids in high school, and seeing what was transpiring, it was amazing to me that they would join schools to do proms or dances or things like this. When I went to school, you would not be caught dead with another high school, another rival school girl, or hang out with their, the boys would hang out. Never. I mean, it was.
Words.
Oh yeah, exactly. You'd be headed to the back of the truck to. Yeah.
Well, we talk about that a lot. My dad told stories of coming to Chelan every Friday night for a dance hall. And in his era, in the 50s, early 50s, he graduated in 52 from Manson. He said they fought every weekend.
Yep.
But it wasn't like, hate your guts, I'm going to murder your family kind of stuff. It was like, just fisticuffs.
Just a dust up. Just a dust up.
And I tell the story a lot, but it's funny. My dad was like 99 pounds and 5'9", I think, as a senior in high school. So he was a little guy, and the other guys like the Pittman brothers and his, Clearwaters and the Finleys and Earl Stanford, all those boys, he'd be like, our little guy can beat up your little guy.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd bet on him.
Right, yeah.
He'd be like, that wasn't always fun.
We have that on the line crews. You have different crews, and they'd have an apprentice on either crew. It's like, my apprentice will take your apprentice. And,
$5.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's like a rite of passage, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, Republic, did you find that the Republic to Nasket connection, they were pretty close, aren't you?
Nope.
I mean, like in distance, you're not very far apart, right? What was it, a half hour?
Yeah, probably half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, so it's probably Chelan Manson when I grew up, kind of same thing.
Right, yeah.
The arch rivals.
Yeah.
Closest.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. What kind of kid were you in high school? Were you a troublemaker?
No, I was
leader?
pretty straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Pretty straight and narrow. I didn't get in a whole lot of trouble. The wife kind of kept me on that path.
Yeah, kept
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you married right, evidently.
Yeah,
You're still on that path.
we were high school sweethearts.
Oh, you were?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So she's a Republican.
Yeah.
Republic girl.
Yep.
Too, huh?
Yep.
Oh, that's funny. What grade did you start dating in high school?
She was a sophomore. I was a senior. She'll kill me for that.
Well, the good news is she can always say you're always older than me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know a little bit about that. You've been together since high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. But that's great. So 44 years? Is
Yeah,
that
I'll
right?
be 44 years in December.
Wow.
So what's the key?
Yeah.
What's the key to that? If you had to give somebody advice.
Yes, dear.
Which one am I supposed to like? That's what my husband tells me all the time.
Yeah, exactly. No,
That's so true.
just be honest, open communication, and understand that there's going to be trials and tribulations, and that you can overcome all those trials and tribulations.
And you had 2 kids?
2. Yep, we've got 2.
Boy and a girl.
I've got my daughter Nikki, and she's here in the Valley. She works for North Central Washington ESD. She's got 3 kids. Yeah.
Emotional. I love that. Grandkids are something else, man.
Yeah.
What makes you emotional about? What are you thinking?
Just how proud I am of the people that they're becoming,
That's so cool.
and how strong my daughter is. So, they were struck with tragedy about 4 years ago, and it's been an emotional roller coaster for them.
I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
Apologize.
The kids' parents are Jason Winters is their dad, and he was the pilot that was flying that aircraft that crashed into the Sound over Labor Day weekend 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so it's been a real struggle with the emotions and everything else that's been going on. And unfortunately, the light at the end of the tunnel has been realized. So, and then I have my son too. I can't just dwell on Nikki. My son Kevin and his wife are over in Seattle, and they have one daughter. She's going to be 9 this year, and so they're starting to get into the sports thing and stuff like that.
So how old are your grandkids now?
I've got one that's 18, one that's 17, one that's 9 going to be 10, and one that's 8 going to be 9.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
So after you and your wife finished high school together, what did you guys do? Did you guys go to college together?
Oh, no. Well, we were in the military together.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. I'm sorry. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. After my basic training down in San Diego, I was stationed at Colts Neck, New Jersey from 82 to 84. Yeah, I believe it was that. That was a period of time that I was stationed, the barracks duty there. So we were in charge of security of the naval base that was at Colts Neck. And then from there we were transferred, and I say we because we went everywhere together.
So did she join the Marine Corps too?
No, no. We were married, and I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
She just followed.
She went everywhere I went, and so anyhow, then we went to North Carolina. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. I was there for a year and a half. Yeah, year and a half in Camp Lejeune, and then after Camp Lejeune, I was transferred out to Bangor, the Marine Barracks out of Bangor.
Did you have a deployment overseas at all?
I did. I had 1 6-month deployment. We went to Okinawa, and then around that area.
But that was interesting.
It was very interesting. Yeah. Went to Mount Fuji. There was a training area in Mount Fuji, and we did some cross training with the Japanese Ground Defense Force, some helicopter inserts and stuff. And when you fly over Mount Fuji and that surrounding area, from a helicopter, it looks like a golf course. Until you land and you realize that golf course is 8-foot-high elephant grass.
And so you're like,
yeah, exactly. It was very eye-opening, to say the least. So.
What was your MOS in that?
I was at 0311. I was just a grunt.
Grunt?
Yeah.
Like an infantry?
Yep, infantryman. Yep.
Yeah. Now, what made you, or when did you know the Marines were where you wanted to go after high school?
Probably my junior year. My buddy and I signed up between our juniors and senior years, and we signed up under kind of like it was an experimental enlistment, where at the end of that enlistment you were given you could go to college. And so and that only lasted for about a year, that particular program. And so the neat thing about that was it was transferable, so you could transfer that to your spouse or your children. So when we got out, and I say we because it was a family then, when we got out, I was able to transfer that, basically a GI Bill.
GI Bill, yeah.
Yeah, basically I transferred that over to Michelle, and Michelle went to college. And
that's nice.
So she's got, she was able to get her degree and all that stuff.
When did you find yourself coming back to this valley, or did you make it right away back to Eastern Washington Central?
No, it was kind of a by chance type of thing. So after I got out of the Marine Corps, we moved up to Republic and we're living with our parents at the time. and my stepdad, who was a lineman, asked me if I'd be interested in getting into the trade when I, got out of the Marine Corps. I was getting pretty short, time-wise, as far as being in the military, and so I decided to get out. I was given the ultimatum. It's like, you can either stay in the Marine Corps and not have a wife, or you can get out of the Marine Corps and have a wife.
The Marines didn't give you the
Yeah,
ultimatum.
and it's like, yeah. How do you say it? It's been real and it's been fun, but it ain't been real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it in the Marines?
I did.
Adapt to that?
I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of great experiences, and then some that were not so great. But I mean, that is all part of the process and par for the course. Mm-hmm. But it was time to get out, and so my dad set me up to get into the trade, and so we were kind of like in limbo. And when I got into the trade, she stayed there because as an apprentice lineman in a construction, you bounce around from job to job to job, and it's like from area to area to area. So yeah, it's like I worked as far south as Roseburg, Oregon, and as far north as Canadian border. And so I used Federal Way basically as like a hub for my where I was going to stay, and I ended up meeting God, what the heck was his name? Anyhow, you might know them. Their last name began with a Z. They lived up on the Butte. There were a set of twin brothers, and then there was another brother. Anyhow, this was a nephew to those twin brothers. I'll think of it as soon as I walk out the door.
Yeah.
Anyway, we ended up being roommates, and he brought me over here, and we stayed, and we went dove hunting up on the Butte and everything. And I was thinking, it's like, yeah, this might be a bad little spot to land and stuff. And so anyhow, my apprentice buddy got hired on at the PUD and was stationed up here as an apprentice? No, he was a lineman. So we were very close to topping out. And so anyhow, he was kind of giving me information as to the happenings of personnel and stuff that was going on and everything. And so they had an opening up here, and I applied and got hired on.
Nice.
And so
that's a pretty sought after.
Oh, absolutely.
Position.
Yeah, I've been on a number of hiring committees through the PUD over the course of the time that I was here. And one of the first questions that I asked an applicant was, do you want to be a lineman or do you want to work for the PUD? Because there's two different answers that go with that question. I mean, because if you want to work with the PUD or for the PUD, there's all kinds of jobs that you can apply for through the PUD to get hired on at the PUD. But if you want to be a lineman, and as a lineman, you can work anywhere in the world because everybody needs power. There's a different avenue for that. I mean, the PUD puts apprentices on and trains them, and they become linemen at the PUD. But if you want, out of 500 applicants, there's like 1 or 2 positions, so the odds are pretty slim.
Yeah.
But if you want to go be a lineman, then you go hit the books, you go be an apprentice in construction, and you do your paces, and you be a lineman. And if you want to come back to the PUD, there's more times than not, there's a position open to be a lineman at the PUD. But you don't have to necessarily be at the PUD. You can be a lineman in Douglas County, or you can be a lineman in Australia, or you can be a lineman in South America or South Africa or England or wherever. You can be a lineman there.
That's dangerous work, from what I understand. And what do you think most people don't realize about what a lineman does from the outside looking in?
Oh,
because what does that mean for the work?
I think people underappreciate the fact that of, how dangerous electricity can be. I mean, they look at it as like, okay, let's flip a switch and the lights come on. Well, the lights aren't on. What, why? You need to get these lights on. When there's so much that goes into getting those lights on. You talk about, so we have a car pole accident that occurs, and it's like, okay, well, let's get that pole put back up in the air. Well, there's not a lot more that goes into that. I mean, you have wire laying out all over the road and everything, and it's not like just let's go put it back up. I mean, because there's different angles and tensions and all kinds of stuff that goes into that. And it's just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
People are good at complaining. When
Oh,
it's not
absolutely.
working.
Yeah.
Why'd you get out there? But it's funny because you guys often, when that's one incident, a car, but like an 80 mile an hour windstorm, 100 mile an hour windstorm, all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of things happening at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I bet that's hard to figure out. Like, what does this affect this, and that affects that? And
Yeah, absolutely.
It's compounding.
And there's a definite art to being able to look at something and figure out where to start, where to work in the middle, and how to finish it at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are some guys that are really good at that. They've done it enough times. They've seen a lot of different situations that they have the ability to, okay, we're going to start over here, where this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 lay it all out. Everybody understands, and ready, break, and here we go. And then you just kind of turn everybody loose to go do their job. I think that people don't understand exactly the dangers that do exist. Everybody thinks, oh, it's electricity. Well, there's that. There's traffic. There's stuff that breaks that falls on you. There's things under the ground that you aren't aware of, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and then somebody just passed away recently.
Yeah, that's very true.
A foot
Yeah,
broke, right?
Yeah, it had a pole that broke off.
Yeah, just random.
Yep,
Just
absolutely.
And then, in some areas in the forest, when people are doing lineman work, isn't there? I remember, what years was it where the protests where people were putting spikes in telephone poles and things that would.
Really?
Have you heard about that?
I had not. no.
Yeah, there's actually an RCW that is in existence to not allow people to affix signs or anything to power poles, because it is a risk to the lineman or telephone lineman or whatever who climb those poles. Because if you climb those poles and hit a nail with your gaff won't go into the wood, and you end up falling off the pole. And so, there's an actual RCW that is supposed to prevent people from using.
And the intentionality of hurting people, was that based on what am I? I remember that was a big story for a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe it was loggers I'm thinking of.
I think it's probably the logging industry.
Yeah,
and
maybe that's what I'm
they
thinking of.
put those in there and buried them.
Chainsaws hit them.
Yep, chainsaws hit them, or saw blades hit them and ruined that.
That's what it was. Yeah, I got that confused. Yes. So, what are some of the more memorable? Because we've been through fires, we've been through. What do you have any memorable moments where it was like, oh man, this is some serious work we got to get done?
That the ice windstorm of 94, 96.
96 is where we got like 6 feet of snow.
Yeah.
And froze everything. The sheds collapsed.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember that because I built the house that year and I had to shovel the deck like.
Yeah.
My dad and I and Keith Allen were building the house.
A
And
bunch of times.
We spent more time shoveling snow off the deck than I was like, this is a great winter to build a house.
Yep. Yep.
Don't see that anymore.
I think it was after that. I think it was like in the 2000s where the whole South Shore fell down basically, and then we were up at Cole's Corner a lot. So we put up a line in the daytime, and then the snow and the trees would fall over and pull it down at night, and we'd go put it back up again. I must have put up the same section of line for 4 days in a row, just putting it up.
And you're working all night. You're calling you out.
Oh yeah.
You're on the 911 call.
Yep.
At
pretty
any
much.
given moment, you get called out. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. What's great? It's really an amazingly important job, and I think we do underestimate.
Oh, everybody takes it for granted unless we had to do that job and be like, okay, we're not taking it for granted anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. In real estate development, we've had a shift in installation of infrastructure where it went from overhead to now it's not really a thing.
No,
It's
not at all.
almost
It's basically underground.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with the cost and feasibility of things, because there's been many a time I've talked with Rob Mellison about, he wants to underground that section of line in front of his winery there. It's like, you can do it.
Yeah.
All it does is just cost money.
It's just money.
Yeah, just money.
And a lot of times the developers, because of the cost of underground or going cross country was another, like, there's where my house is.
Yeah.
The road goes like this, but I want to go like this.
Yep.
And we used to do that.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of shut down for
Right.
the most part.
I think a lot of that has to do with just land easements also. Because if you're cutting across your neighbor's property to get to there, they're not necessarily as willing as they used to be able to allow that.
Yeah, and to get
power line
access
go
to
through
it,
there.
and how do you get a truck in
Exactly.
there? If you're
Exactly.
going cross country over a mountain.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting now how you have to lay it all out very differently.
Oh, absolutely.
And fiber became fiber conduit became an issue. And that's kind of an interesting one for me because I'm like, we still have to put in fiber conduit, and yet the technology's kind of rolling to more wireless with Starlink and other types of satellite communication.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting that the requirement is still there, but then even if there's no fiber, and I'm often wondering, is that something that is still going to be 10 years from now?
Right. But the thing with that conduit being in the ground, you can utilize it potentially for other things without having to excavate to put that other thing back in the dirt.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whatever that might be.
I've learned a lot about single phase and three phase.
Oh, yeah.
Where the three phase is and relative, how much. Yeah, as we develop into these in rural areas, it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's a much more complex.
Yep.
Than it used to
Which
be.
back in the day, nobody ever thought anybody would ever build out in those rural areas.
You're
You know
absolutely
what I mean?
right. Yep.
I was just driving around the other day and I looked at a project on the South Shore and I was talking to the excavation company and it was $400,000. He said to excavate this building site. And I was like, this would never have even been a building site.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And then I often we run into this too. We're like, that's a great price on that lot. And I'm like, yeah. But when you start adding
you start adding everything up to it in order to make it a livable space. It becomes.
Sometimes those good deals don't turn out.
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
quite as good. So
Yep.
it's interesting. So what years did your kids? Because when did you move to Manson?
We got here in '94.
And you moved right in and built the house in Manson.
No, we lived in Grandma Pittman's house out on Washington Street, and we were there for 3 or 4 years. And then Rick decided to come back and wanted to farm, and so Maxine and Harold, God bless them, they were awesome.
They were. Harold's an amazing guy.
Yep.
Harold and his brothers and.
Yep. And so anyhow, they said, and they felt terrible because we had every intention of, whenever they were decided to sell it, that we were going to buy that place because it had the 5 acres, apples, and everything else, and it was perfect for us what we were doing and everything. And they felt terrible, telling us it's like, okay, you're going to have to vacate the premises.
The kid gets priority.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kids got priority, and so anyhow, which was great. I mean, because at the time when we first moved in there, we were kind of struggling. I was an apprentice for 3 or 4 years and bouncing all over the place and everything, and so it kind of gave us a chance to get our feet underneath us and stuff, and that's when we ended up having our house built at the place that we're at right now. And so I think we were in there in 99, 2000, something like that. Anyhow, everything kind of runs together after a while.
Yeah.
You got a cool setup.
Yeah.
Big shop.
Yep. So.
So when you retired, now I want to get into what you're doing now with your championship training.
No.
Like, this is cool, man. I see your posts online, and so tell me about that. How did you start? You always like to hunt, but when did you start going full into competitions?
So I don't know if you remember Warren Ireland. He had Ireland Farms kennels, and so as a line crew foreman, I went up there to do a job, and this was up one of the gulches. It's back up behind Rocky Libby's place and Brad Barnes's place and stuff. So anyhow, he was doing some expansion. He was building a barn for his kennels and stuff, and so I'd had some prior experience with retrievers early on when I was still in the military, and so he had this one little chocolate lab female that was, she was really driven. She wasn't driven with game, which is kind of odd. But if you threw a line in the brush, she would hunt that thing until she found it and brought it back. And so I was like, wow, she's got a lot of drive. And so anyhow, I started doing some research on her pedigree, and come to find out, she was loaded. She had a lot of field trial stock in her. She had a 3-time national field trial champion. And so anyhow, I was like, wow, that's pretty nice breeding. And so I ended up getting one of those pups from him. And so I was doing some training, and I knew just enough to be dangerous. And I was working with a buddy of mine. He still works at the PUD, Rick Vanderbrake. And he was telling me, he says, well, he said, my dad and my brother, they train dogs. He says, if you come up against any issues or you have any questions or anything, here's his number, give him a call. And that's basically down the rabbit hole I went. I ended up giving Brooke a call, that's his brother, and explaining what was going on and this, that, and the other thing. And I was doing it wrong. And so he corrected me and got me going the right direction. And then I've been training with him ever since. And so as part of that training, one of the things that they do is they train these dogs for hunting, field trials, and AKC hunt tests. And so then that's what we've been doing for the last 14 years. And those hunt tests are nationwide. They have national competitions in the fall every year, and those things you have to qualify for, so you have to do so many of these weekend tests and pass those weekend tests in order to qualify for the national test. And so, yeah.
So do you just do labs?
Yeah, basically just retriever work.
Yeah.
So we do labs and Goldens.
And are you doing that for other people now?
No, I'm not that good.
You look pretty good.
I'm barely good enough to do the ones that I have right now, and so I get a lot of help with those guys too. I just got back last week. I spent a week down in that Othello, Connell area down there, training with the training group down there that he's in charge of and stuff. And so it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. The dogs and the work that they're capable of doing is amazing. A lot of people underestimate their ability, and it's pretty amazing what they're
curious,
able to do.
Cool.
Does that translate into the field hunting?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All those lessons that you teach them and you hone absolutely come into play when it comes time to, hunt in the blind or, in the field. You know, that's one of the other things that I'm doing too is I guide for Rusty Hunt out of Hidden Ranch
He's
Outfitters.
Good guy, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I've got 2 hunts scheduled with him
Up in Coulee City.
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, I've talked to him for a little bit, and he was interested in real estate for a while.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that'd be great. You know, I'm guilty of this. I had a German short hair, my wife and I, and her family was, her grandfather was a big time. He might have been, and she'd be better, I'd probably brutalize it, but her grandfather was one of the original guys that brought in German short hairs.
Okay.
His last name was Holcomb, and he had kennels, and they had grand champions, and he was pretty famous because he kind of helped promote the breed back in probably the early 20s, 30s. So I'm guilty of this. We got a German short hair. I have an old was turned into more of a, never really was a bird dog, but just more of a pet. And then the German short hair, I go, okay, we're going to make this one a bird dog.
Yeah.
So I sent him away to a guy in Freda. There's a kennel up there.
Okay.
The old guy that trains dogs. So he kept them for a couple months. And then here's my brilliance. As soon as they come back, I don't hunt. And then I put them with a retriever. And then I let him run around 100 miles an hour and have fun. He's a great dog, but turns into a family dog. So it's like there's that challenge, right?
Absolutely.
Where do you have a hunting dog that you remain disciplined with? Because you stayed in a kennel for 2 months and trained every day.
Yep.
And then he was great. He was pointing, and he was,
Doing all the hunting dog stuff.
And then I brought him home. Now he's just a lap dog. He still loves to hunt and point, but not nearly like, they kind of lose that.
Yeah, that edge. Yep.
So
it's a definite fine line to be able to maintain that training, and I often wonder how I was able to do that when I was working. I mean, a lot of it was, like you said, put them over there, let them get that training, and then bring them back and use them. Because essentially that's what they all are, is they're a tool. I mean, they're a great tool, and you get to love on them and they love on you. But when it comes down to the bottom line, I'm taking them out there and I'm using them to earn some money, offset training bills, pay feed bills or whatever, when I'm doing the guide thing. Or when I am out there hunting with them and stuff, I'm using them to get my game that I've killed and stuff. So they're a tool. But you have to maintain, just like any piece of machinery, you have to maintain that in order for them to perform at their peak, And so now that I've retired, I have the ability to do that a lot more often. I mean, it's like when I get done here, we're going to go train.
Nice.
Yeah.
So is it a myth, or is it true that when you have a flushing dog like a retriever or a lab, their job is to flush out the game, not point, and then you put them with a pointer? That kind of is like mixed signals, right? You can't really hunt with them both.
It's difficult in the fact that you've got a big running dog that is going to lock up and point, and your flushing dog is going to run in there. So you basically have to heel your flushing dog until your point dog points, theoretically. And then you run that flushing dog in there. But now there's been a lot of development breeding-wise, that pointing trait in labs. So there's actually a big group that does testing with pointing labs.
Wow.
So they actually have what they call an American Pointing Lab Association, and they do their own hunt tests. So you have to do your retrieving tests first. So you do your marks, and a mark is where the dog watches the bird go down and they go get it. And then you have your blind work, which is the dog doesn't know where it's at. You line them up, and then you drive them out there and you handle them with a whistle and a hand signal. And they're judged on how well they take those casts, those hand signals. And then you go from there. After you get through the retriever work, then you go to the upland field, and then that dog is judged on how well he quarters the field, how many contacts he has with the birds, whether he sits after the bird goes up, whether he sits and watches it go down, or does he chase it, and all that kind of
And does
stuff.
that translate to
Very
duck dogs
intricate.
too, and geese where they're in the water? And is that a whole different?
Oh no, that'll translate too, because I mean, one of my dogs, I can shoot a goose and it can land 40, 50, 60 yards out in the middle of the lake, and I can get my dog to drive out there, go get it.
I got to tell you a funny story. It's probably not politically correct, but you got to remember we were young.
Yeah.
Really, really young.
Yep.
So I was with a buddy of mine. We were hunting ducks in the blind. And you know how they have those ski buoys? Water ski boats would go down the middle. Have you ever seen those? And then the skiers would hit
Yep.
the boats, right?
Yeah.
They're not very far offshore. So we happened to be hunting by where they had left some of those.
Oh.
So we shot a duck. And there was 3 of us. And the 2 of us were shooting the duck. And one of our buddies had a dog. And dog jumps in to go get the duck. But he ends up thinking the buoy was a duck.
Yeah.
And then he bit onto the buoy. And then he got kind of like wrapped up,
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't let go of the buoy. So the owner of the dog, my other buddy, was kind of getting more and more nervous, and so he finally got undressed out of his skis in like the wintertime, and he got into the Columbia and walked out and swam out, and we were shooting ducks over him. We were like, "Hey, would you get that?
Yeah, get that one too."
That
Yeah.
Yeah. Human retriever.
Yeah.
And he got back. He goes, "You guys are such jerks. I could have drowned."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, you're all right."
Yeah.
And the next day, he had some kind of milfoil rash. That's a great story. It's probably not the right thing to do. Yeah, we just said, "You got 2 of you out there. You can retrieve
might
more
as well,
ducks."
Yeah, might as well get those while we're get
anyway,
those.
it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah.
But I've loved that. I just don't. I always say I'm going to go do it more, and I always try to do it. But this real estate thing keeps me.
Yeah, there's that thing called work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky. We love it. I mean, I love what I do, but it would be nice to have more time
Yeah.
to do more
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
As you know.
Well,
you
it's
said.
like I was saying before, it's like, man, how did I get all that stuff done when I was working?
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember raising kids and going, wait a minute, I had a restaurant, I did this. How?
Yeah.
And, but I paid a price too. I got divorced, and it's like your point when you get too obsessed and you don't stay balanced. And I was very guilty of that. Drive was addicting, just like a lot of work was an addiction, just like anything. It can be a problem, especially when you're self-employed.
Oh yeah, especially then. I mean, because the entire success of your family is balanced on how successful your business runs. And when you're the boss, all that pressure is on you. You got to make the right decision, and then if you don't make the right decision, how do I recover from the poor decision and the consequences that occurred because of it?
Yeah, it's funny growing up as an apple farmer's son, small farmer. My dad used to say, like, I'd never go to Vegas. I'm gambling every day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I could do everything right, and a hailstorm comes over. I mean, it takes a certain personality. I tell agents now that are newer, are you sure you want this? Because it's, we do a deal today. It's 2-3 months before you get paid. And it's not an easy thing. It's funny that people think, oh, I'll get a real estate license because the barrier to entry is low.
Yeah.
But, the stats are pretty wild. The last 2 years, 74% of the real estate agents in the United States didn't sell one house.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this crazy perception that, and probably like anything, probably like not all linemen were the same, not everybody had the same experience or the work ethic.
I'm sure a lot of people start as an apprentice and don't actually finish it.
They don't make it.
Yeah,
they don't, and that's why they have an apprenticeship, is in order to weed out the people that aren't necessarily cut out for the job.
Yeah.
Because it does take a certain personality, a certain level of being able to let things roll off your back. I call it being thick-skinned.
Yeah.
And when you have to be willing to live with the best case and live with the worst case. And if you can't, and if for whatever reason that success or failure defines you as a human, it's probably not the right move.
Right.
You probably should get a job that pays you for time that's reliable. But even then, there's risk. I mean, people get laid off, and we found that through COVID that people told you what you could and couldn't do at the government level. Like, you're not essential.
Yep.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it was
you might think you're essential, but unfortunately,
not everybody else, apparently.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. 36 years. I've had the ups and downs, and But it's a game. If you don't love it, it's like anything. I just tell people, like I told my son, he's in excavation now, and he went to the Marine Corps for 5 years. He was funny. He knew early, by the way. He knew, I think my dad going to Korea maybe, and he spent a lot of time with my dad.
Okay.
And the discipline. But I remember in third grade, he had a paper, what are you going to do when you grow up? And it was like first, second, third choices, and most people were like doctors or athletes or something. He was like Marine. Like the third grade.
Yeah.
And then he went to MOS, was recon, and he made it through all the schools in the last reconnaissance training. I think he was like 2 weeks away from graduating that, but the shoulder gave out, and that it was a high school football deal.
Injury,
just kind of resurfaced because of all the treading water.
Right, yep.
And it was funny because I tell people that you don't realize what those trainings are like until I had no idea. I thought he grew up on a lake. He'd been swimming since he was 3 years old.
Yeah.
I mean,
but he hadn't been swimming with a pack.
And he hadn't been the technique.
Yeah.
And he told me, he goes, the guys that did they literally would drown them. They'd be drowning. And the more they started to drown, their goal is to weed you out, right?
Yeah,
Their goal is to
absolutely.
get the absolute
They
top.
want the best of the best.
Yeah. And he said that he'd start to drown or feel like he was going to drown, and then they'd start splashing more, and then they'd just tell him, hey, if you drowned, if you die, we'll resuscitate you.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's
fine.
that mindset thing.
Yeah.
But he said the high school swimmers and the collegiate swimmers were the ones that really did well.
Yeah.
And they weren't always the big guys. They were, you look at the big three, football player type. They don't.
Nope.
It's not what was working for him.
No.
But he ended up getting an MOS into aviation and became a sergeant eventually, and was in the V-22 Osprey as a crew member.
Gotcha.
So he had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't have to combat, so that was very fortunate. But he got to see, when you're on that boat as a Marine with all the Navy guys in deployment, you probably remember that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few little issues there that Marines stick together.
Uh-huh.
They're smaller numbers, but they stick together.
Yeah.
But he was able to get off the boat and go inland.
Okay.
In
yeah.
all these cities. So he'd be,
Yeah.
I've said it many times, but I thought it was cool because I never really knew where he was. But every once in a while, he'd send me a picture of him in a city with plain clothes on and a camera, like in Jordan or Iraq.
Right. Yeah.
He found it. He loved it. He still, to this day, I don't know. I mean, he still has friends that are very, very close.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Lifelong friendships that were made.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
It worked out for him. I remember when he got into the aviation side, they just gave it to him, and I was like, how did you do that? And he goes, I don't know. I mean, I tested the ASVAB, and I go, did you cheat?
Yeah.
He goes, what? My son's funny that way. He can do whatever he wants if he decides to do it.
Right, yeah. You just put your mind to it
and
buckle down. And
now he's working excavation, so with us on the
him.
projects.
Yeah, good for him.
He loves it.
Yeah.
And we just moved down together down the street from you.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be down there, back a quarter mile from where I grew up.
Yeah.
It seems kind of weird. I never thought that would happen. And to have orchard that I have now. I never thought that would happen.
Right.
And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it.
Now where are you at?
Dwayne Hubbard's place, which is Darrell Lumen's place. Bob Carlton.
Okay, yeah.
Just down Wash, there's Bob Carlton, Darrell
Right,
Lumen,
right,
and
yeah.
Dwayne Hubbard. So
Gotcha.
It's the 15 acres that looks up lake.
Okay.
That's a beautiful spot.
Gotcha.
Couple homes and a triplex and shop. And
Gotcha.
so we bought it.
So you got me confused. I don't live there. I
thought you lived on Washington Street.
No, I live on Somerset.
Oh, on Somerset.
Yeah, Somerset Place.
Okay, that's what we were talking earlier. I thought you lived right across from Mike Collins' old place, but you're up on the
No,
next.
I used to live there.
You used to live
That's
That's
Grandma
what you meant.
Pittman's.
That's Grandma Pittman's.
Grandma
Yes.
Pittman's house.
there.
Yes.
That's where I remember you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So-
yeah, I've been out of touch.
Yeah.
That's why we do this podcast.
Right, yeah.
We know where our neighbors live. Well,
Yeah.
Somerset's not very far away.
No.
That's pretty cool.
That's what I was talking about. Pittman's Orchard,
Yeah,
leaving,
okay.
because that's like just below where I live.
Yeah, so
Right
I used to, because I grew up right down the street on Washington and Parkley.
Yep.
Right from where you were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about, you mentioned you coached. What years did you coach at the high school, and what did you,
Oh,
was it football or baseball? Or?
I was coached with Bill and Tom, both.
That's great.
I want to say in the late 90s to the mid 2000s, 8, 9, something like that. And then I coached Kevin's group.
What year did he graduate high school?
2002.
Got it.
Yeah. So, yeah, he just rolled 40. So, yeah, 2002. And I think Nikki was 2000. I think that's right.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, right in there somewhere. Anyway, but I coached Kevin's group from 3rd grade until basically till they graduated high school. And so, because after the AAU thing, and he started into high school, Frank was coaching, and then I got to be a basketball coach. Mm-hmm. And I actually, after Frank left and went to Chelan, I coached a year at the varsity. I was a head coach
at the basketball
team for a year.
That's awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
And you're referencing Tom Alexander when he was the football coach,
yeah,
and then Bill Sargent.
When they were football coaching.
Yeah, Bill was one of my best friends.
Oh yeah, he was awesome.
He was incredible, dude.
Yeah, I love Bill.
Yeah, he married us right here about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that officiated our wedding.
Yep.
Audie and I. Yeah, he was a character. In fact, I had Ryan, his son, on a podcast a couple weeks ago.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, there's not too many men like Bill.
No.
Yeah.
That was a tragic day.
Yeah.
Too young.
Absolutely.
But Tom was a damn good coach too. I played for Tom and Joe.
Yep.
Teague.
Yep.
And we had a good team.
Oh yeah.
Frank was in my grade.
Yep.
All through school.
Yeah, I coached with Joe also.
He was a great man.
They were great. They were awesome. This was like Tom and Joe 2.0. This was after. So it was Tom and Joe, and then Bill got there, and then Tom and Joe came and did it again.
They did.
And and then Soliday was in there that mix too. So I was with all those guys. Yeah, it was great.
So what did you find when you coached the basketball team? What did you like or not like about that whole program?
I had a great time. I mean, first of all, being able to coach your kid. It was awesome. So during that period of time, my dad had retired from work up in Alaska, and when he went to Alaska, he was part of a retirement down here in Washington at PERS 1. And so he took his retirement money, but the thing is that you could put that retirement money back into your PERS 1 retirement and retire again through Washington State. Mm-hmm. And so, but he had to work at a PUD that was part of that. So he came and got hired on at Chelan County PUD. So I was able to work with my dad during the day and then go coach my kid after work.
Fun.
And yeah, it was an awesome time. And so, yeah, being able to just, to interact and coach your kid and all of his buddies, it was, an awesome time.
Yeah, I coached a lot of the AU stuff for a long time, and I wouldn't trade that for
nothing.
I had an opportunity to leave, and recession hit in 2008 and do some crazy stuff in the oil industry. A buddy of mine went on, and he did extremely well financially, but I just said I couldn't see myself, because I worked with my dad too, almost every day, and coaching my kids and watching them play. And, both my daughter Taylor and Mason were good athletes and loved it. So I just couldn't see. I just said I'm here for the good and the bad,
right?
Whatever the market brings.
Yeah, however it plays out. Yeah.
And you give up some stuff to do that.
Sure.
But I don't have any regrets, and I think working with your dad, I know about you, but I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Oh, not at all.
I was so lucky.
Those times and the memories that we created during that period of time of working was awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, just I didn't growing up. I didn't realize exactly how funny of a person that he really was. Yeah. He was hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah, just hilarious.
Yeah.
And some of the things that he would say and how he would act and do things and just day-to-day type of stuff, that as a parent to a child, you just don't necessarily get those interactions, because there's always that that guard, that when you're at work doing work, that guard falls down and you're not a child anymore. You're more of an equal because you're doing work at the same job. And so yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then your wife has worked at the Manson School District for 20
Yeah,
years.
28 years, 29 years now.
So
yeah.
you guys are all kind of intertwined.
Oh yeah, she's been in the mix up there for almost ever.
Do you think Manson and Republic, growing up in Republic and Manson, have similarities and or differences? Or are they?
I think they probably have more similarities than they do any differences. Just that close, where everybody knows everybody type of,
Yeah.
keeping an eye out for, it's like, oh, I saw your kid was doing this, that, or the other thing, and it's like, why didn't you knock him upside the head,
Yeah, we talk a lot about that, how it's shifted from, in fact, we just talked about that this morning, about consequences. And, I have 2 grandsons now, they're 7 and 3. And I try to imagine being a parent now in this time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm sure that every generation says the same thing to a degree.
Well, it changes every generation a little bit,
Yeah.
just slightly.
It's like we were talking to Dwight about, he was trained and worked with World War II veterans as a park ranger.
Mm-hmm.
So those World War II guys, when he was a park ranger, here we had on our podcast last week, week before, that mindset was very different than today.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can just imagine that their mindset was all about service and what they could do for somebody else, and their needs or desires were placed on the back burner. Just
More
because
direct, too.
and the younger is more instant gratification, all about me, what's in it for me, and so yeah, it's done that big pendulum,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, Bill and I used to talk about it a lot when he was in education, how the rules of engagement changed. What you could say, what you had no choice to say, that were governed by Olympia in this state. And so we talk about it in real estate a lot, where I don't know if sometimes, that's what I love, Nicole, you just turned 30, right? 32. I was trying to make you younger. 32. So it's really a good partnership in the business, because she sees things from her generation, and she'll remind me sometimes that maybe I'm not being as patient as I should be, or
right.
I get, my instincts are to say that if you tell me I need a work-life balance one more time, but then I'm like, okay, but then the reality is people are exhausted, and then we have this conversation about how much is it technology, and how much of it is like every kid grew up with getting a red ribbon and no consequences, and the stuff
the ribbon thing, that's a Bill euphemism.
100%.
And the bulldozer parenting, where you fix all your kids' mistakes so they don't have to live with consequences.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big issue.
Yeah.
And I mean,
so it's bulldozer now.
Yeah.
Because
there was helicopter.
It used to be
now
helicopter.
Now it's bulldozer.
Gotcha.
It's it's pendulum keeps swinging.
Yeah, oh yeah.
See, helicopter, you get into the mess and then they cover you.
Yeah.
Bulldozer, there's no mess to get into. You're perfect.
They see all of your problems going to occur in the next year to 3 years, and they're just constantly making
clearing room for it.
And I think it's hard too for people that see that grow up in tech from day one. I know in real estate we have 6 or 7 generations of people at any given moment in an office, and so you might have somebody that just hates tech and is really good with communication 101, and then you have somebody that grew up with an iPad in their crib.
Yeah.
And that integration, whether we like it or not, it seems to be a big part of the world, obviously, and in our world it's marketing and communication. But I tell people, when I had a beeper, maybe, and I was a real estate agent at 19 or 20, and maybe a brick phone that was like $6 a minute.
Yeah.
And whether you called or they called, and that's it. We had a landline, and that's about all. And we had all the information. But I did more I was doing more work, actually performing more deals then than I do now. And I think part of that is obviously the technology gives, there's so many ways to communicate, and everyone expects you to do it. So whether it's Facebook messaging or texting or emailing or Snapchatting or
there's 5
Twitter,
different other
Instagram.
apps that you can connect with people on.
And I also see it challenging, and I'm just curious what your perspective is on that. When people see the social media and everything is perfect all the time,
Right.
from the, they're filtered outside that you see is the best of the best.
Sure.
And then you look at yourself, and I think that there's a big critical thinking potential problem where they haven't had enough adversity to really feel like, growing up, because of the bulldoze parenting, because I see everybody else has a better car and a better house and a better this, and they seem to be my age, and I'm a failure. And so there's like this insecurity that I see in the youth coming up that is dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, well, you can probably look at the statistics and see what, the numbers over the course of time for, your self-harm stuff.
Yeah.
And pulling guns,
Yeah.
and like we talked about my dad's area, they'd fight each other and buy each other beer the next 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Or when we were growing up, you'd have a bully on a playground, or you get in a little wrestling match as a 4th grader. Nobody went to jail. Nobody got kicked out of school.
Right.
Nobody really, they say don't do that anymore, and then a week later you're best friends again.
Yep.
So to me, there was a lesson in that where it didn't have to turn into a mortal enemy.
Yeah.
Over, you took my toy.
Yeah.
And
right.
then that, now you see it just happen in Chelan where a kid pulls a gun and shoots somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, what? For what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And
Because you had a difference of opinion.
Yeah. Some girl did this, some this, that. It's like you're going to go to jail for a long time. And I just wonder if, it's really an interesting, and I think a lot about my grandkids, like how could I, with what I know, help them without aging up to a point where I'm also talking like my dad, where I walked uphill both ways, 3 feet of snow barefoot, school,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking like that now. And I have, I have a partner who's 32 and Nicole's 32, and that helps me.
Yeah.
Because they'll tell me.
Yeah, keeps you.
when I'm out of bounds.
Keeps you. It's like, okay, let's look at this from a different perspective. A different perspective.
And that's a real different trait than when I was growing up, and I was more of a Bobby Knight trained.
Oh, absolutely. I get that a lot. I mean, because Michelle is like, because every now and then I'll get a coaching bug. It's like, yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it wouldn't, because it's not the same as it was when you were coaching before, because the clientele are totally different in how they have been raised and the expectations that have not been put on them. And so, I mean, a lot of them are kind of free-range chickens because they have not had a real close supervision. Not necessarily their fault, not necessarily their parents' fault, because there are totally different circumstances that have occurred that cause these things to happen. And so it's,
I remember going to college. My college coach, Frank, and I, our first year at Wenatchee Valley, our coach was this, I think there was 10 boys in his family, and his dad was a Marine drill sergeant. He was the youngest of 10.
Yeah.
And Bobby Knight was his idol.
Yeah.
So he came from the inner city in California, and he came to Wenatchee, and he came to the inner city because he got in a little trouble with a little bit too rough on a kid, and he had to kind of back down and go to a community college from a bigger school. And he showed up the first day, and there was a ton of walk-ons. And there were some kids that we had scholarships, but there was a ton of walk-ons. And he just said, "Oh, this is easy. We'll just start running."
Yeah.
And the first thing he did is put all those balls away.
Yeah.
We're going to weed you guys.
Yeah,
So
we're going to thin the herd right away.
And I remember Frank and I, it was literally 3 hours a day of a Marine boot camp, and we hated him in the beginning, but by the end, and he just had one rule. He goes, if you're going to puke in my gym, you better puke in these 2 basket cans.
Yeah, in the bucket.
Or you're off the team, and pretty soon the kids start running out of the gym, and then we were down to about 20, and we lost 80 or so, and it just the whole discipline that we experienced in that year, and Frank and I could talk about him forever because he made a huge impression on us.
Sure.
It wasn't the Marine Corps, but it was as close to that level of intensity, and he was fired immediately. Yeah. Because he did things that were absolutely not even in the 80s, not tolerable.
Not kosher.
Not a good plan. But he was by the end, he was such an amazing coach if you bought into it.
Sure.
That he pulled us up we were playing way above our skill level.
Yeah.
You know, it was quite fascinating, and he taught us if nothing else, your body will give out way before your mind will give out way before your body.
For your body will.
And that conditioning was just unbelievable.
Yeah. That was one of the I don't know, I would smile inside because at the end of every practice, I would always tell the team, okay, it's your favorite time of day. It's like, let's go hit the line.
Line sprints.
Let's go. We're going to finish this strong. We'll run some sprints, and we'll shoot some free throws, and then we'll run some more because you didn't make your free throws, and then we'll shoot some more, and we'll run some more until we get these free throws made.
We had this thing
favorite time of day.
17 in a minute, which was down and back. 17 back side of the gym, and then 9 and 30, and the whole team had to make it. And we had some big fellas. It was a melting. Community college is a melting pot of a lot of great athletes that maybe didn't have the grades, but didn't have the attitude or didn't have the effort, but they had the body. So we had a 6'10" guy, and he had the same rules as I had as a little fast guy. And if any one of us didn't make it, we did it again. Did it again, and we did it again. And pretty soon it was like, bring it on. Like, we could sprint a marathon. We don't care.
Exactly.
And he knew that we were not a big school, we're not a big class. Like, we didn't have like superior talent. So he said, you're going to play man-to-man defense for 96 feet, and you're going to be in the best shape.
You're going to wear them out.
You're going to be in the best shape.
You're going to
made
wear,
the playoffs with I think Frank might have been the tallest guy. So but that level, he could never coach like that now.
No.
I mean, there'd be litigation, attorneys.
there wouldn't be a team.
No, they'd all.
They'd be gone.
And I think it'd be hard for me to coach too. And I try to understand that. I really, in training agents and working with other agents and other affiliates that are involved. Now that I'm 56, I've been at it for 3.5 decades. And I'm still feel youthful exuberance, but I do have to work all the time on like what's going to motivate this person, and what's not. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense.
Definitely to be able to understand personalities and be able to coach to that individual is a definite talent. To be able to motivate, because everybody has their own motivation. And so how do you push that button in order to get them to want to do what you want them to do?
What do you feel? How do you feel about this topic with people that we work with and stuff and different, like, what are they feeling that you feel is different than, I mean, you're an exception. She works hard all the time and gets it. But what would you say, where do you say it comes from? Just exhaustion?
I think it's just probably too much overwhelm mentally.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't made to have the world news and to see inside 500 people's lives before we even leave our door in the morning, because all we do is scroll endlessly for an hour, and you literally see 500 pieces of content about things you were never supposed to see. So I think it's just a lot of it's just a information overload that then just gets you kind of confused, I think, on a lot of what's really my path? Am I doing the right thing? You know what I mean? Instead of back in the day, it was just more simple. You just had to do certain things to just keep going. But at the same time, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I know that there's some bad, but then there's also a lot of good that's happened, with how it is and how people are. I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just different. So now it's okay, how can we make different? They make the best out of being different versus trying to make it go back in time, because that's not a
Right,
possibility
yeah, you're
anymore.
not going to get that to happen.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that crazy work ethic, like I said, I got divorced. There's some problems. There's some consequences when you're obsessed to a level that is just out of bounds.
Yeah.
And you start making bad decisions. So, and a lot of that's, for me, in hindsight, it was a lot of this stress that was innate. I mean, it was just intrinsic, never enough. And that's one thing I've always told my kids. I go, like, try to do your best at whatever you decide to do and try to pick something that you like doing, but also don't go so obsessed with it that nothing matters.
Right. That nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters.
Right, yeah.
Because then, you won't hopefully feel the stress, the pain when things break.
Right, yeah.
And they
when it doesn't work out the way that you thought it should. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so far so good. I mean, you never know, though.
Yeah, but I'd imagine if you had not been coaching for a long period of time, it would be hard to get back into it. I feel like you'd have to keep your pulse on it for the whole time.
Oh, sure.
To, evolve with all the changes. But otherwise, it would be very hard.
Yeah.
I could see it. But I bet you could do it.
I bet you could do it,
I
too.
bet you could do it.
I
think you got
yeah.
the personality and the character traits and
Patience.
stuff.
Yeah.
You could do it.
The my way or the highway may not work as well.
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you said, if you're a good listener and you're patient.
I mean, kids need it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I think to some degree that pendulum that you talked about earlier is real, where there's phases that people
sure.
are going in and out. Like the youth right now aren't drinking, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gen Z is like, well, we don't really need to do that all
Yeah.
the time. And I don't know if it's good for the wine industry, but
Right?
Yeah.
but mocktails.
We'll pick up the slack. the old duffers.
Yeah, we made our dent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore, but I think that was a good call for me.
Yeah.
I just get good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everything, I'm all in. Like,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not. So I also we all talk about the changes of this town, and you've been here a long time. How do you feel about the growth and the inevitable growth, and the people? You see a lot of people really not liking it, and they don't see a benefit to it personally, and I get that.
And the key word in that phrase is personally. I think if they were to take a look at it as a whole, the benefits that have come to the valley because of the development outweigh the negative aspect of it. And once again, it's, affecting people individually, personally. I liken it to, you talk about developments and people building houses and things like this. You have somebody that comes in and builds a house. Good for them, but they're turning up the dirt, and the dust is flying, and the noise, and all this, everything that it takes to build a house and put a yard in and blah blah blah, get your house to be a home. Well, there's a vacant lot next door, and somebody else comes in a few years later and starts doing the same thing that these folks did 2 years before, but these folks are going to raise a great big stink. Well, nobody raised a stink when you were doing it, so why do you think you have the right to raise a big stink for somebody else to do it? Here again, it encroaches on them personally.
Yeah, the selfishness that comes from that not in my backyard mindset, which again, it's America. I mean, it's fair. Whatever you want to do. Where I see challenges is a lot around the prices, right? I think there's a misconception for a lot of people that the real estate agent or the real estate developer or is the driving force of the price increase. And they kind of forget that it's a supply and demand issue. It's Econ 101.
Yeah.
If we have one lot and 100 people want to buy that one lot,
That lot's going to be expensive.
and consequently it's this dichotomy of thought that is a little bit I think a lot of times, and maybe why would they pay attention to this kind of stuff if they're not into econ or finance or real estate? But if you really just take a step back and think, if we never build another house, the homes that we have are going to be more expensive, and you're going to have more taxes, and it's going to be harder for people to stay here. It's going to be harder to hire the right people from other places that you want as a teacher, a police officer, a nurse,
Absolutely.
or a lineman,
Yeah.
and consequently end up hiring people that have a connection to a place to live because the cost of houses are so expensive. So on one hand, I totally understand why the small town is cool. I mean, I always say that. And at the other hand, if we don't manage, if we just say to hell with growth, I don't want to see another development anywhere, the anti-everything movement.
That hurts the locals.
And it does. And to your point, the people that I see doing that the most aren't my dad's crew and my generation. It's the people that moved here 5-10 years ago, and they don't want it. They have money, and they have the resources,
right?
And they got their house.
Yeah, exactly. I got mine.
Yeah.
And screw everybody else.
Below the tunnel.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for those people that prey on perhaps the lack of information or the naivete of others, and they say, well, that sucks, and that growth sucks, and that development sucks, and we're going to, whether it's whatever it is, the anti-everything special interest groups, I think they just miss the fact that if we started to cooperate with the understanding that it's inevitable,
Right. Yeah.
and that if we could make it more affordable from the beginning in politics, in the zoning laws, even if we just kept what's on the books and we enforce what's on the books, there's laws and codes for everything. But what's funny is when someone says, well, you're going to develop that, I don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's already been through years, if not decades, of rules and infrastructure and zoning and ordinances and codes, and those codes are immortal. So it's funny to me that I just don't want it, and they don't connect the dots between when you say I don't want to see another house built, you're also saying I'm okay with prices.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah. No.
And I think that's just a
You
lack
can't
of
have it
information.
both ways. Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
No.
Can't have it both ways.
And if you want to see a town get real expensive, which is already really expensive, and it's already, it's a big passion of ours to try to figure out how to help with that, but in the development side. But if you want to see it really expensive, like a Jackson Hole, where the billionaires are kicking out the millionaires, let's just keep this political anti-everything movement in place.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's not getting any easier.
No.
And acquisition, and it's not the acquisition, it's not the labor, and it's not the cost of construction. It's the bureaucracy and the lack of predictability that drives the supply problem. Because the zoning books are pretty, the Growth Management Act that came into play in Washington State in '99 basically lays it out. You have to have a comp plan for the next 20 plus years, and you have to revisit it all the time. So I always tell people also, hey, if you want to be an activist and you don't want to see another house built, you should get in early, and you should be involved in those comprehensive plan meetings and try to get those zoning changes. But what I think is dangerous for investors, for a community, that you need money supply to create jobs, and you need money supply to create growth, to balance out that supply and demand equilibrium of buyers versus sellers. Coming in late to the game and filing lawsuits and the things that these special interest groups get funding to do, it hurts everybody.
Sure.
It hurts everybody that doesn't even realize it's hurting them.
Right.
And that's the part that at some point, I think that could be talked about. But boy, the government is really difficult to figure out.
Oh yeah.
And part of that's a revolve of
Exactly.
personality.
It's constantly changing because you have different people that represent different entities and self-interest groups that constantly rotate through there.
And the ideology, if you really analyze the special interest groups that are the big heavy push around here, most of them own homes, and most of them moved here not that long ago.
Exactly.
And so when they're beating their drum, just remember where they came from.
Well, yeah.
How much do they have their house and their infinity swimming pool, and did they blast a rock to build their house on a mountain with a view of the lake?
Exactly.
Careful.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
My point exactly.
And I
They
also
didn't
don't-
want anybody saying anything when they built their house, but by God, if somebody's going to build a house next, I'm going to be squawking to beat the band.
And I just think so. It'd be fun to have a debate sometime and really think about the bigger picture, because I also agree that there's reasons why there are rules. There were times where there was no rules, and then developers were urban sprawl and not caring about the water table and not caring about sewage, and I mean
all the stuff.
There's reasons why these things are put in place.
That's exactly right. That safety book was written in blood. There's a reason why those rules are in place is because somebody got hurt really, really bad or they died.
Yeah.
And
so do you think you're going to be here for the rest of your days, or do you have plans in the retirement? Because you said your wife's getting pretty close.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't see us selling the house. I mean, this will be home base. I mean, we're going to travel and we're going to go see things. We're actively looking at other places and stuff. And with the dogs take us a lot of different places. I mean, in the last year, I think I went to 16 or 17 other different states.
That's crazy. How cool is that?
Kentucky, Tennessee, Illinois, North and South Dakota, Missouri.
Get into those pheasants.
Oh yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Where's the best place you've ever hunted for birds?
Regent, South Dakota is probably the best pheasant place that I've gone. Ducks and geese is here in Washington.
Oh, it is?
Nice.
Yeah.
Where at?
Where's
the best place?
In Basin area.
Yeah,
that's probably the best place to.
So when you're how would you tell if you were younger? You've talked to a younger kid in high school or just out of high school, and they wanted to get into hunting birds. And they didn't have the mentorship. Where are some places they could learn where to go? Who to call besides you?
It's Washington is. I mean, for the upland stuff is tough. Upland, I would think more in the Dakotas, eastern Montana.
That's quail, chukar, pheasant.
Right. Yeah.
Upland birds.
The upland birds. Pheasants, mainly sharp-tailed grouse, some quail, not a lot. I mean, there's a lot of quail. Chukars down in Idaho, that Hell's Canyon area. Chukars is a young man's game.
Yeah.
Chukar are a young man's game.
Yeah, they'll fly forever.
Because, the terrain that they live on is steeper than a cow's face at feeding time. And, they run uphill, and then when you run uphill to chase them, then they fly downhill. And And so, and then quail, I mean, here the quail are thick, but it's really, and the same thing with the geese. I mean, I tell my friends, I'm like, man, I got geese flying right over my house, and they are literally flying over my house, but there's nowhere you can kill them because of where everybody lives.
Yeah.
And so it's really tough. And so just get out. I mean, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's like my grandson's big into fishing,
Is he?
so he just goes everywhere fishing.
Yeah.
And
That's the fun of it too, exploring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get outside. That's what I tell my daughter.
Get out.
Get these kids outside.
Yeah, get them out.
Yep.
Get them out.
Get them dirty.
Yep.
Get them tired.
For sure. The nice thing about, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to go guide for Rusty. The neat thing about that is you can go out there and there's birds there. You don't have to buy a hunt license because they're preserved birds. And so, and you can go out there and experience a pheasant hunt.
What's the name of his?
Hidden Ranch Outfitters.
Hidden Ranch Outfitters.
Yeah.
Probably find that on the
Online. Yeah, absolutely. He's got podcasts too.
Oh, sweet.
Nice. I'll have to grab him.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
I
that would
played
be cool.
against it must have been his brothers.
Brothers, I think.
Scott and Derek.
Yeah.
Hunt.
Yep.
They were great athletes.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good rivalry, boy.
Yep.
Back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah, were they like Bridgeport, Mansfield?
Yeah, we called them the Grant County Rams when
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
there was like all
Funny.
those Cooley
Yeah.
City, Mansfield.
Yeah, Cooleyfield, Mansfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a good team.
Yep.
We beat them in the semis to go to the Tacoma Dome when I
Yeah.
was a senior. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Football, right?
Yeah, 8-man football.
Yeah,
too.
8-man football.
That was the greatest sport ever invented.
Oh yeah, that's just nothing but smear the queer. That's great.
Yeah, it just wide open.
Yeah,
Wide
for sure,
open.
for sure.
So I want to get into one more topic before tell me about your wife.
Oh,
Tell me what she's done for you and your
She's
family.
a saint.
Oh, that's cute.
She's a saint. I can't. I don't have enough accolades for her. With all the hijinks and shenanigans that I've done and gone through, and all the trials and tribulations with the kids, and not just our kids either. I mean, she's been with that school district for years. The number of lives that she's impacted is innumerable. Yeah.
Makes you emotional.
Yeah.
I love that so
Yeah.
much.
That's so cool.
You're a lucky man, my friend.
I with my hunt test people, we have to go out and sit and throw birds for the guys that are running the dogs and everything. And there's a buddy of mine, and we would go out together every day during this master test, and we'd sit down and we'd look at each other and we'd say, count them all. And another guy was standing behind us. He says, "What are you guys talking about? What do you mean you can't count them all?" I says, "Can't count all the blessings we have.
Oh.
Just can't count them all."
That's
That's
important to
Yeah.
remember that, where gratitude cures a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And yeah, well, you're a good man, my friend.
That's
Well,
really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You give me way too much credit.
No, get more Kevin Medveds. The world would be a better place.
Yeah, well,
And
thank you.
Michelle's.
Yeah, well,
And
thanks.
Michelle's for sure.
Well, yeah, and tell her, yeah, thanks for sticking with you for 44 years.
Oh.
You just-
44 and counting.
Yeah,
Let's just
absolutely.
say
Yeah,
it's
we're
gonna
not
keep
done
going
yet.
for
Yeah,
another
yeah, we got
Just
a
30,
few
40
more.
years.
Yeah.
Just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what adventures you go on next.
Oh yeah. I'll keep
And when
you
she
posted.
retires, you guys are going to be all.
I know we're going to be going.
That's
Yeah,
exciting. Well deserved, man. Well, thanks for joining us today.
it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me on it.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it.
You're a great example of why we do this show.
Well,
So,
thank you.
all right, we're signing off one more time. Small Towns Unscripted.